Hi there, Aries. How's your day going? I hope everything is getting off to a good start or wrapping up if you're watching me in Europe. Really great to see you. Today, of course, we're going to be starting a brand new month. I'll be lighting the candles with you today just because I was spending some extra time on the slides here. And I also like to occasionally allow you to be a part of that ceremony as well, which just kind of helps set everything into the right energy. Lots of love and kisses here from my furry assistant, Apollo. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and of course, welcome to your monthly reading. This can be used for the next 6 to 8 weeks. You can use it for your sun, rising, and moon sign. And as you can see here, we're going to be taking a look at quite a lot today. Right here, the format's right here, actually. We begin with channeled messages. Channeled messages come through dreams and also through totems, and I'll be talking about those in just a couple minutes. That's one of my favorite parts because it's basically me working with my guides and your guides bringing through the messages. After that, we'll take a look at the Celtic Cross, and I let the Celtic Cross take on any shape or form it needs to, not focusing solely on relationships, but really looking at the big picture of what's going on for your soul and your life. Then we'll expand that to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny after that. I then look at a big idea, which is something that you can focus on for like the maximum success over the next month. And then the next portion is very kind of interactive. I'll give, after we do blessings and blocks, I'll give you a chance to vote on some key trends and opportunities that I'm looking at, and we'll do a viewer's choice. And then I will also do a reader's choice, looking at something that I really want to kind of uncover for your sign. And at the very end, we always will wrap up with a meditation and a chance for you to meditate on a big question that you have for me. And I'll read a single card basically on that question that you're silently meditating on. So that's the overarching way that I get organized here. Before we get into the reading, I would like to light candles to set the proper energy and intention. I don't do this every reading, but a lot of times when I'm running a couple minutes late, my guides are like, let's just let it be a sort of collective activity. So let's do that together. While I'm doing that, a reminder here that Maria is the moderator. She can answer any questions as we're going along here. Let's go ahead and get the candles. All right, so we'll start off by connecting to source energy first. Your connection to source could be different than mine, but we have different words for the same thing, which is the energy that creates us, that binds us, and all of that. So whether you call that God or goddess or universe or something different, that's up to you. But I'd like to please have all of us just focus for a second and say, could we bring in the highest possible energy and guidance today and bless this reading as well? Thank you so much. Let's connect to the protective energy of Archangel Michael or whatever Ascended Master you might like as well, bringing forth guidance, protection, and basically making sure that only the highest energy comes through today. Calling on Archangel Gabriel for assistance with channeling also messages of the light and only of the light. Calling on Archangel Uriel for help with organization, for the nurturing energy that always comes forth with that angel as well. And Raphael for healing. Thank you to all of the protective forces here now and always. And with that being said, let's get started and take a look at the month ahead. All right, so I always like to begin with channeled messages, as I said. Channeled messages come in a few forms to me. A lot of times they come through dreams and meditation. Sometimes as well, when I'm out and about on a hike or a walk, I'll see or experience something that really inspires me for the next day. And one of the things that came through yesterday was this beautiful cactus that I have on my back porch, and it's starting to bloom. It's a Barrel Cactus. So let me open up the keynote for today and we'll talk about it. Okay, let's put the picture in picture. Hopefully you can see it. So we'll be talking about a cactus first and foremost, and just also the traits that go into cacti, which are just amazing, highly modified plants. And they have a lot of sort of like survival energy with them, adaptability, tenacity. It's a really great sort of energy, very Aries energy to come through for today. So we'll We'll discuss that in a second. And then really looking at boundaries, limits, and reciprocity, because I had a lot of messages around that came through in dreams. So this is actually a picture of a cactus that's on my back porch. You can see this same picture in a post related to it on my Instagram. Maria can put a link to the Instagram if you don't follow me there. I'm trying to put more slice of life stuff on my Instagram. So if I take a hike or if I see something in life that's inspirational, I'm putting it there. So anyway, looking at this barrel cactus, the Latin sort of genus of this is called like Barrel Cactus, which means fierce cactus, which I thought was amazing. They can get pretty tall actually as well, and they can store a lot of water. So to me, they're just this sort of amazing sign of strength. But first, let's talk about the adaptability and the defense mechanisms that they have, because I think whenever we think of a cactus, you almost kind of invariably think of the spiny sort of things sticking out of it. So why do they look the way they look? Well, because of their environment. They've learned to thrive in an environment that has very sparse resources. The soil is not very rich and there's very little rain. So as a result, the spines that are they're actually leaves, they're highly modified leaves, but the spines that are on the outside evolved because basically the whole way that that plant works has changed. Instead of using the leaves to photosynthesize, the stem, which is actually the main part of the cactus that we recognize, that's where the photosynthesis happens. And the leaves decided to kind of take the role of protection, and they do a few different things. They reduce the airflow around the cactus, which helps avoid evaporation. The leaves also would be something that wouldn't last very long in the sun. So what they've done instead now, these spines, they collect the morning dew, and then it goes back towards the stem, and the stem absorbs it. And I thought that was pretty cool as well. They also reduce surface area, which provides a little bit of shade during the harshest point of the day. Pretty kind of ingenious, actually, the way that all of this formed. And of course, they protect the plant from predators and from humans. They're not a very enticing plant you're not going to sit there and touch it very much, right? And even when I was picking it up the other day, I had a little thorn in my thumb basically from that. So you've got to be careful with them, but they are beautiful. I like growing both succulents and cacti, especially because I'm in the Southwest. It's easy and it's actually appropriate for this climate. You don't have to waste as much water. You can water that like once a week. Let's see, what did I miss here? Okay, so why is this important for you? Well, because the defense mechanism reminds you that you're adaptable and have the capacity to stand up for yourself. But it can kind of cut both ways. I put the Knight of Swords here because of the defense sort of thing that I think of with a knight, but it could have easily been the Queen of Swords in reverse, because sometimes if you are too harsh, too direct, too prickly in your sort of approach, that can be off-putting. So it's good to know when and how to be strong and stand up for yourself. There may be a time when you want to let the defense mechanism go a little bit. So that's going to be the challenge. But you are adaptable. This whole plant is sort of like a poster child for adaptability. But defense can sometimes be something that you lean on too much, defending yourself. So you have to remember to kind of keep a little bit of open energy, or things can't come into your life as well. Okay, so know when to let your guard down. Grounding and balance are also things that this particular totem has a challenge with. So just if you think about the desert, it doesn't rain very often. When it does, the rain doesn't go very deep. And so as a result, the cacti have learned to kind of spread out a net of shallow roots plus one deep taproot. A taproot, if any of you don't know what it looks like, it's like a carrot, basically. It pushes itself deep into the ground, but there's not a lot going out from it. Just enough to kind of anchor it. If you ever have tried to get rid of certain types of weeds, particularly, and it's not really a weed, certain types of herbs, I should say, but dandelion. If you pluck up a dandelion, but you don't get the taproot, new plants will grow from that sort of remaining piece of the taproot. And there's a lot of wildflowers, it's a better word than weed, but there's a lot of wildflowers that use taproots. Even the California poppy has a taproot. And if you actually try to transplant it without getting the whole taproot, it will die. It's a little bit weaker than like what I just mentioned there with the dandelion. So anyway, this shallow root system, also very intriguing. It can go away after the rainstorm. So sometimes the roots will form in a matter of hours, but some of the smaller roots will just wither up and go away. So it doesn't have the strongest grounding, which means it can get top heavy, which means that's kind of like the one weakness that I could pick out when I was doing research. So in your own life, look and see what's going on that could create that sort of lack of balance. Grounding is important. Grounding can be a practice, like going out and meditating, trying to get yourself basically focus on what it is you're trying to do. But it can also be, if you're just kind of caught between two or three different things, there's no true focus, then you're kind of like what we see here with the Two of Pentacles, trying to find, what should I focus on? What should I do? And it's easier for people to step in and take advantage of that or throw you off your game, and you're just less able to kind of manifest. So I'd love for you to kind of clear your head, really put some roots down and focus on one thing that matters and see some growth in that area. The thick skin of a cactus is another area of sort of adaptation, if you will. So the ribbing that you see on the cactus, I'll go back to my photo. So harder to see on this, but a lot of times you can see, defined ribs. That is actually so the cactus can expand to get really, really fat when there's a lot of like a monsoon season, and that it can contract when there's not enough rain, actually. So they are able to be flexible, and something we don't always think about. And the waxy surface also helping reduce evaporation, and it also keeps away, again, small pests. And this message for you is that you have the ability to have a thick skin. You also have the strength to stand in your own ground, in your own truth. However, there's another side to strength which gets overlooked often, and that is the ability to change and to ask for help. We can't live exclusively in the past, and evolution, revision, and expansion is a part of growth. So there's a time and place where maybe some elements of being sort of conservative in one's approach make sense, but we have to keep changing with the times and with the environment, with the people, and as future generations kind of come along. So it's also strong to let go of the past and to try new things. How would you know if you liked something new? All right, so always kind of be open to what's available to you. Moving now from the lovely cactus into just general dream energies and messages that came through. Reciprocity played a big part in a lot of the dreams. I had like 4 or 5 early this morning as I was sort of getting ready to wake up that just kept coming through. Every time I kind of hit snooze, I went back to sleep and had another dream about things being unbalanced. So there are times where it's good to give extra when you're doing something of service, or specifically volunteering or dedicating something to someone. So we all, and also if you're a parent and you're just, the first few years of life for a child, there's selflessness that's a part of that. You're going to give a lot more than you get because that child depends on you. And same thing with a pet. Pets depend on us. So there are times where we're going to give a lot more, and it feels okay. But when it boils down to a work situation or a career situation or a relationship outside of that, there also has to be this moment of thinking, wait, I'm always going the extra mile. I'm always doing all of the work. Or maybe they're actually just having fun, taking as much as they can. So in this case, it's time to get those scales and say, this isn't right, or I need more of this or less of this. We'll talk about this in a second here. The Seven of Wands is the answer here. This is actually a really strong card. There's different ways you can look at it. The one way that you can kind of see the strength in this card is that you can do anything. You can actually basically pull anything on your plate and probably excel at it this month. But just because you can doesn't mean you have to do it on your own. There can be a stubbornness that's a part of this one. So the strength is sky's the limit, and you're pretty good at what you do. And there's no reason that you should ever feel like you're not going to be able to get what you want to get done. But it is an exhausting card to constantly have to kind of do all this stuff. So delegation is key with this. Can you help me with this? I don't have time for this. Let's do this tomorrow. This is my priority today. I'm going to need help with the other stuff. That's a way that you can delegate. It's not just, I can't do it. It's saying, if you want this, then this has to go. Are you cool with that? If not, then you're going to have to help me out because I can't do any more than this. So that's managing expectations, that's pushing back, and that's setting limits all at once. The prioritization key is the key to this, I think, sometimes. So when I used to have to manage up to my managers or help other people, I would say, what's absolutely having to get out of the door today. What's the most important thing? Who's relying on it? Where's the money? Where's the expectations? We'll focus on that. These other things, they're not as important. They're nice to have. So need to haves versus nice to haves. You have to push back. If someone's forcing you to do something you don't want to, again, you're going to push back and say, why? Why are we doing this? Is it just because you want me to do it? Is there a driving need for it? So you can ask questions. You're going to have to find your inner fire, which I know you can. Also, this is about not necessarily being overly defensive. Is it your fight to fight? If not, redirect your energy elsewhere. Hardest lesson sometimes, especially for, I would say for almost any sign, but Aries, if you're really passionate about something, I'm sure it's going to be hard for you to step down and think, well, that's not my fight to fight, because you know you can fix it, you know you can take care of it. But it's going to be important for you to manage your resources, manage your energy, right? No is one of the most powerful words in the language, English language and any language, whatever the equivalent is. It's so small in the English language, I think it's amazing. Just 2 letters, 1 word. It's not only sort of an answer, but it's a command. It's a 1-word sentence. No. You can just say that and it means a lot of things. No. And then you can elaborate on it. This isn't the right time. We need more information. You're not talking to the right person. So many things that you can add to it, but in and of itself, once you say no, you're free. You can use whatever diplomacy and articulation, skills and abilities that you have to kind of like emphasize and kind of like dress that up. But the core of it is no. And there's something this month where you either have to say no or you have to push back in an eloquent way. But I really think no should be a part of that. It's a simple word and it's an important one, and you can repeat it as much as you need to. Keep some records, because this is going to help you actually. So for those of you that are under supported, maybe there's not enough resources, maybe there are too many things going on, maybe there's even people making an accusation or a claim that doesn't make sense, keep your receipts and keep records, and then use that to help defend and also kind of like validate why it's maybe necessary if we go back to this to get some more help. I've talked before about like one of my first lessons. It was my first big job, but it was like 2 years into my career where I was working ridiculous hours and I was a freelancer. So I didn't want to lose my job. And I freelanced at that place for like 4 years. But anyway, I was afraid to lose my job. But my immediate manager, she said, I've got your back. She said, but I want you to focus on these big things, and you're doing a lot of stuff that's not big and it's wasting time and you're not doing as good a job on this as you can. She said, let the small stuff go and I will talk to my boss. And I said, are you sure? She said, I have your back. Yes, we have to miss a deadline to get help. So we started missing deadlines, and within a week, we had a couple of smaller folks coming in for like just little tasks, and then we kept one of those, and I was able then to focus on bigger stuff. And she was right. And it was a matter of sometimes keeping documents. So I would then write to her and say, is it okay if I focus on this? So we kept records, and then she shared those emails and she said, we need help. Nicholas is overwhelmed. Let's bring in someone else. And I didn't lose my job. I ended up ultimately quitting on my own. So it's sometimes stronger to let things go, push back, or show people why it's broken. In order to do that, you're going to need to keep records. And if there's no progress being made on something, the same thing. If you're checking in with someone and nothing's happening, same thing. One of your challenges this month is just basically how you're going to be able to help people see it from a different perspective and let them know that sometimes, you're just going to have to look at it from a different perspective. So anyway, hopefully that helps you, gives you some new sort of tools. And again, that cactus is a wonderful metaphor for being able to change, being able to grow, being strong, and then knowing when to defend yourself and when to sort of like let those defense mechanisms come down. Okay, so those are your channeled messages. We're going to be moving on here now to the Celtic Cross here next. Again, the Celtic Cross is not focused solely on love. I believe that's pretty limiting. Instead, we'll be looking at other things like all the different aspects of your life, basically whatever needs to come through. We'll also expand it in a moment to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny as well. Let me go ahead now and take a drink, and I'm going to decide on the deck of cards right now. I may put it up for a vote, but let me just see what I'm called to. All right. I think I'm going to let you vote. Let me see. Let me pull a few decks that I like, and I'll give you a chance to vote on them today. I'm just going to go to my favorites here. Okay, so let's pull the camera down for a second, and we'll show you what I've got on the table, and we'll choose one of these for today's reading. We're going to go with some favorite standbys here that I like. Since it's a new month, all of these will be great. All right, so we have Light Seers, we have Divine, Tarot of the Divine, Afro Goddess, and True Heart Intuitive, 4 of my faves. So I don't care which you pick because they're all amazing. I'll show you some pictures from each in just a second. Let me get this poll set up. Which deck would you like? How's everybody's week going, and how's the beginning of the month going? I hope everything's kicking off to a good start for you. Light Seers, Tarot of the Divine, Afro Goddess, and True Heart Intuitive. Okay, there you go. So give me a second here. I'm going to show you some of these cards so you can kind of identify all of these. Here we go with the lovely Light Seers deck. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. Beautiful imagery, lots of light. I love this deck. Then we have the, let's see, the Tarot of the Divine, option number 2. Really cool, kind of looks like reimagined fairy tales. Very beautiful images. Love it. Afro Goddess, we haven't used this one in a while. Beautiful imagery. Everything is hand painted on this deck. One of the most lush decks I think that I own. Great card stock too. It's just a great all-around deck. And then the True Heart Intuitive, based on Rider-Waite but has its own unique take. I actually quite like this one as well. There's really no wrong choice. So let's see what you guys choose and we'll go from there. All right, taking a look at what's in the lead, we have Tarot of the Divine, looking like it's actually winning this pretty well, so I'm going to end the poll and put these to the side, make sure that it won, and then we'll get started. All right, so Tarot of the Divine by 35% takes the lead. Thank you for choosing your deck today, Aries. Great choice. All right, so let's get into this. As I said before, you can use this for your sun, your rising, and also for your moon signs. And it's great for the next 6 to 8 weeks. Let's see what the messages are. Yeah, as far as designs go, this is one of the most uniform sort of like color schemes in any deck. They did a great job on that. One of the other energies that I picked up on as I'm looking at the Emperor card here was parental energy. In last night's sort of meditations and dreams, I kept seeing different authority figures coming through, and yeah, like parental, whether it's mother or father, that was definitely part of the energy. So I'm not surprised to see that coming through in the center here. All right, let's take a look at the first card and get started here. So the first card we have here is the lovely mountain card. Let's pull this really close so you can see the person coming out of the cave or the heart of that mountain, which is beautiful. So for many of us, we might feel not that we're kind of like stuck on the mountain, but we're kind of like inside, buried under some of that pressure. And when we think of what creates mountains, it's basically two parts of the Earth's crust that are basically jutting up against each other, or one that's kind of going underneath. But either way, we're seeing this sort of like It's a meeting of the wills, or basically a clash that's happening for some of you. You may find yourself stuck in the middle of that sort of two big energies. And the key thing here is where do you stand? Where are you at? What is it you're trying to do? This is also the fire that I would see like inside of a volcano. And so for many mountains are kind of like hidden volcanoes. We think of Pompeii, right? Wasn't it Vesuvius that just was dormant for, many dozen, millions of years or something, then all of a sudden blew its top. So for you, what's going on with how you're managing stress, pressure, expectations? Also, maybe success versus failure. Have there been things going on in your life where you're just being hard on yourself? So having that pressure valve to release the sort of like pent up pressure or feelings is going to be important. Not getting stuck in the middle is going to be important. And then ultimately, whenever I see something like this, there's also the energy of like 10 of Wands, where it's about focusing not so much on how far you have to go, but how far you've been and what it is at the top of the mountain that you're trying to strive for. As many of you know, I hike and I love these sort of just the whole experience of that, because it's amazing that once you lose yourself in the sort of energy of hiking, that you're at the top before you know it. And it's so easy coming back down. So there's always two sides to the struggle. There's the work to get to the top, which really is where the growth happens, right? And then there's the sort of freedom and fun of just coming down the mountain and thinking, I did it. It was easier than I thought. This is doable. I always remember how easy it is to come down as I'm going up the mountain. And I also remember how beautiful the view is. There's a lot of things that are motivational, and I don't mind the work. So if you can find a way to have fun with the work, and by the way, if we look at the center here, that is going to be important because we have the 5 of Wands. So joy in the work so that this doesn't feel so sort of like overwhelming, then I think you're going to have great success this month. Okay? That's basically it for now, but I'll come back to that card as needed. Let's take a look at your what's going on here in the center. So definitely a month where you can get a lot done. So we have the 5 of Wands in the center, and it's crossed by the Emperor. So we have experience and work. We also have, for many of you, a necessary change on the horizon. We can't really read this without looking at these. Judgment is understanding that the change is inevitable, or knowing what you have to do far beyond or before when it actually happens. Trust in your intuition this month. You're also manifesting some of these changes yourself. So you've got the experience and the wisdom to work through this. Let's look at the work card first, and then we'll talk about the Emperor. All right, so with this work card, there's always an opportunity with 5 of Wands to work together or to compete. Collaboration and cooperation are far more effective in many situations than competition. Friendly competition is fine, but remember, it's not necessarily you against the world. See if there's a way that you can pull everything into a sort of more cooperative and a larger context, and that's going to benefit everybody. Fatigue is a very real part of the 5 of Wands, and a lack of motivation. So traditionally, I would say maybe over the past century, I think it's changing, especially with COVID, the way it's changed the workforce. But there was an expectation to just sort of like clock in, clock out, show up, be quiet, do the work you're asked for to do. And that's not a sort of sustainable way. So if there can be some more, again, a feeling like you're making a difference, also like opportunities to collaborate, and to talk to other people, whether it's virtually or in person, all of these things are going to help. You have to kind of find a higher reason and a bigger reason for doing what you're doing, rather than the paycheck, rather than it's what's asked of you. There has to be something bigger, like, why am I doing all of this? Is it a means to a bigger end? If you are blessed enough to actually like where you're at and what you're doing, perfect. You just have to kind of center yourself into that. But if you're not, then there's a bigger call to find something in your life that's making this worth the effort. So I talked about climbing that mountain. Climbing up is not always the fun part, although you like how your body feels later because you've worked it out a bit. But you have to kind of play some tricks on your mind to get through the work, and that's what you're going to have to do a little bit this month. Use your experience, use your wisdom to work smarter. So this is about finding better ways to do it, and also knowing when it's time to take a break. I posted a picture of Apollo curled up like a little fox the other day. He's a good reminder for me, like when it's time to just take a break. And here's the picture on my Instagram. So a lot of times he'll be in his bed sort of saying, come over here, Dad, let's hang out. And it definitely helps because in that moment, I think, yeah, you're right. What am I doing? Why am I worried about this? It is time to sort of chill out. So find a reason that this is all worthwhile, and then take care of yourself and take a break. Working smarter includes being able to just take a deep breath and relax a little bit, okay? I feel pretty good about what I see in the deep past here. 9 of Pentacles. You're in a really great position right now, Aries, to kind of like knock things out of the park. 9 of Pentacles comes through when you've set the foundation. And again, this particular card, if we look here, is in the foundational space right now. So as we look at this, you have, this is your root, and it's a deeper root. It's not the sort of shallow roots that we were talking about a few minutes ago. So you have this capability right now to lean into all the hard work that you've been doing in your heart, in your soul, maybe in your career path, in your education, and do something better. I failed to say this a moment ago, but we have 6 of Swords, Judgment, and Death. And that is change, change, and change. A lot of this, I actually remember pulling a little clip on the weekend where it was all about change as well. So you're definitely in alignment with that. So you have to change the way you work. You have to reapply your old skills, and you have to maybe take some of these resources and reinvest them or look at them in a different perspective. The good news for you is that you know how to do it on your own. You have, if not in your own sort of, in your own, like resources can be time, energy, money. So if it's not in your bank account, if it's not in your circle of friends, if it's not right around you, it's in your periphery. There is an opportunity to tap into all of that. So use your resources wisely and make a necessary change. So the change is already happening. That's what we see here with the 6 of Swords. So the question is, are you ready to kind of make the move? One thing that we want to be mindful of with 9 of Pentacles is fierce independence. And that actually, to me, makes a lot of sense for an Aries reading. You know you can do it. You think you can maybe do it better on yourself, I should say by yourself. And there's sometimes this desire to just want to prove it and maybe not want to be told what to do. But there are options and opportunities here to let people come in and help a little bit. Even my example of listening to a boss or an authority and just saying, trust me on this. And I was like, but I can do it. Maybe this will help me get, hired or whatever. She said, no, it's not, because it was going to stay a contract position, and she knew that. So she really was looking after my happiness and my health. And so when I let her in, we worked smarter. And then we could work harder on the projects that made sense. So there's an opportunity to work a little bit more intelligently. And part of that is letting someone in. Part of that is letting go of some of the things. So think about that. Are you tired? Are you ready for a change? Because a lot of these cards that I'm seeing today would indicate that in many places here that it looks like it's time for a shift for you. Because as we look at 6 of Swords, Judgment, and Death, you're actually in the driver's seat here. This is you deciding to embark on something new. This is you really sitting with that decision and saying, I know it's hard, but this is the right time. This is the right place. And then there's a little bit of mourning. It doesn't matter how ready you are for something to happen. When something finally comes to fruition, a lot of times we're kind of stuck thinking, could this truly be? Am I truly deserving of it? And the answer here is absolutely. You've worked really hard for this moment in time. I think the hard thing for you is just deciding when to make the move, not necessarily if to make the move. So with the 6 of Swords, it looks like a change is overdue. One of the things that it can remind us is, have you not been looking beyond your borders? So sometimes we're looking for growth in a relationship or in a job or in a city, when in fact we should be going outside of that. So if you've done everything you can to extinguish and expend all of the options in one of those areas, it's time to look further. And that's really what the 6 of Swords is saying. You don't have to immediately separate from that person, place, or thing, but it's saying at least give yourself a chance to research and to explore and to daydream about the possibilities. Everything starts there. So some of you may need to take a little trip, or may need a little bit of personal time alone from whatever it is that's going on to clear your head. take that time. It's so important. Judgment is a tricky card, and it's sitting in your crowning position. The tricky piece about judgment is often that we already know what we need to do. But there's two pieces to that. One is knowing and one is accepting. So with it being in the crowning position, you're going from knowing to accepting. It's not reversed, so it doesn't feel like you're second guessing yourself. But the sooner you accept and embrace, the sooner the positive changes happen. The longer you sit and question, the longer you sit and wait, the longer it takes. So timing is really, it's in your heart right now, and not so much your head, because I feel like your head knows what to do, but you'd have to think about that. We have the lotus blossom here as well. Great sort of energy to see in the crowning position as well. Judgment is the phoenix rising from the ashes. So if you had disappointment, if you had experienced something that felt like a setback or failure, this was just foundational energy, a reset, so that you could get to something better. The sooner you realize that there's something even better waiting for you down the line, better than, greater than, or equal to, then you're going to be okay. And that's one of the few things from math that I'm pulling from my past. But yes, there's something greater than or equal to the current experience. So open yourself up to receive and to see that and to explore and to kind of get above the fog and the mist and all the things that could be kind of clouding your judgment, okay? Now we have everyone's favorite card. Not necessarily, but it should be, but we have the death card. Death is just transformation. Death is just a portal. It's just change. It all depends on what's preceding and what's also following it. And what we see here is all the cards before are pretty darn good. You put in the work, you have the experience, you have the ability to stand on your own, the independence, and the movement's happening. Like it or not, movement is happening for you. You're at the top of the mountain. You just have to now decide which direction to go. So I feel like everything is putting a positive sort of shift or change or opening here for your future. So the sooner you're kind of open to experience that, the better. Let's look at this card upright here for a second, just to get a little bit more context. So this is almost like the wizard behind the curtain. And it's interesting because we have the magician card here showing up in your ego or soul space. So what you're discovering is you've always held the key. You've always held the power to do something. But there is somebody in your life that might be exiting out. It could be a boss. It could be a friend. There could be an actual loss of someone that you love in your life. But it feels more figurative to me. Someone's stepping. It's like a changing of the guard. So whether it's figurative or actual, when someone leaves our life on some level, what we're left with is that space to go back to the deep past lesson, which is, I can take care of myself. So you're going to be fine. You've set yourself up for success, and you have to sometimes see beyond the gatekeeper to see what's waiting for you. And so don't freak out if you're working at a company and there's a new boss coming in. If you're losing touch with a friend or with a family member and you feel a little bit of emptiness right now, because what you're doing is opening up your heart and your life for something richer, because that engagement, that relationship, that opportunity, it had the shallow roots that we were talking about with the cacti earlier, and you need something with deeper roots, okay? You really want to drink in that opportunity. So that's what I'm seeing, is that there's a necessary release happening for you so that you can have something richer, stronger, with more of an anchor than what you've had. If you feel like you are tired of something, this is also just, you never need permission from me for anything, but I'm giving you some validation right now that without a shadow of a doubt, change is overdue, you know it, and it's happening. And when you embrace it, you rise above and you can actually manifest something amazing. And that's what the magician is all about here. We have a fairy godmother here. And basically, this is your ability to wish and wish big, dream big. It's basically Cinderella, right? We can see the little mice, the pumpkins, and then we have the fairy godmother. So for you, if you can't dream the dream, if you can't make the wish, if you can't tell the universe, I want this, I'm ready for this, it has a harder time delivering to you. Not like I need this, say I'm ready for this, because needing it kind of tells the universe that you're not ready for it. So saying I'm ready to receive this or something greater, now the universe knows how to show up. Now do the work, because the magician has all the tools in his or her tool shed to basically make something happen. Traditionally, on a Rider-Waite-Smith card, you would see cups, wands, pentacles, and swords at the table, at the magician's table. All he or she needs to do is to decide how to alchemically kind of put them together. But there is sort of, the magic is practical, like mixing and matching like a chemist. It's also believing. And that's what the magician is asking you. Do you believe in yourself? Are you applying your skills, and are you applying yourself? Because those two things are necessary for the magic to work, okay? So if you believe in yourself, and if you make and state that wish in a very clear way, you're going to see a return on that from the universe, okay? I see a question about my schedule. So while we're talking here, it's a nice little segue, because I believe I forgot to put that. My schedule's on my website right now. It's actually on the community tab as well, okay? And if you want to follow me on social, all the links are here. If you like what you see, you can click on the subscribe button. And thanks to all those that are giving back right now. We'll talk a little bit more when I get to the expanded forecast, but thanks to everybody here who answered that question. Okay. The only thing that can ever get the magician off its game is basically the ability to focus, distraction, and sometimes by being unable, unwilling to say no. So use the sort of messages and the skills that we talked about way at the beginning to help you with that, okay? All right, what's going on around you? We've got a brand new sort of opportunity on the horizon. Love for some of you. There could also be a passionate idea that's coming from your heart space. There could be someone that's offering you something, and the question for you is not, can I do it? It's, should I do it? Does my heart feel engaged to do this? Because without that sort of passion, I'm not sure that you're ready for it. So this is really the universe saying, do you want this? Are you ready? Is it good enough? So you get to be discerning and match it up to your vision, match it up to your dream, and decide if it's going to be a yes or a no. But there could be love unexpectedly coming from, maybe sort of like it could be from work. It could just be an organic meeting for those of you that are looking for love. We'll go much deeper when I expand the forecast in a few moments, but something good, something happy, something surprising. But it also has to meet your expectations. If you are meeting someone for the first time, oh my goodness, is there karmic energy with this person? Because this is death, rebirth, and death. So there's at least 1 or 2 lifetimes worth of energy going on. And even for those of you that are in a relationship, there could be some big karmic past life or even ancestral sort of things that you're dealing with. What do I mean? So if there's ancestral stuff, you might be the first person in your family or in your lineage that is breaking down barriers. Maybe you're the first one to go to school. Maybe you're the first one to not get married. Maybe you're the first one to, whatever it is, you're doing something that they don't want. Maybe the first one to leave and go to another country and get new citizenship. There's so many firsts in your life or in lifetimes. But there's something that you get a chance to do that surprises and breaks a chain of maybe not having enough money, not having enough love, not imagining enough. You're breaking those big karmic and ancestral cycles. And if you're meeting someone in this lifetime, you get a chance to fix it. It doesn't mean that both parties are going to be able to, but you have the option to show that person a better way. When people say they want to meet a soulmate, I'd like to follow up and say, careful what you wish for, because soulmates can cut both ways. It can be the best thing ever, like my little puppy in the background. He's definitely a soulmate and has brought nothing but love to me. They can also be one of the most challenging people that you've ever met, an adversary, and I've met my fair share of those as well. The adversaries are great teachers, but the experience of that soulmate/karmic relationship is difficult. So when you say you want to meet a soulmate, clarify to the universe. Say, I'm looking for a positive karmic soulmate to come through that can lift me up rather than teach me difficult lessons. Make sure that you clarify, because otherwise there could be issues like maybe someone has stolen something from you or vice versa in another life. Maybe someone cheated you of something, and etc. Maybe you were the person that cheated them. When that happens, the tables are usually turned, and the person that had less usually has more, and they have a chance to treat you better. It doesn't always work that way. But basically, that's why I'd always say be careful of soulmate. Just wishing for a soulmate. Wish for a positive connection, not just something. Otherwise, it's just drama. It's just karma. It's just history. You want good history, not bad history. So for some of you, you've got history coming through. Try to make it better. If you're already engaged in a karmic sort of cycle or friendship, do what you can to heal it, to bring it to a lighter space. Sometimes it's time to let it go. How many lifetimes do you need to spend with someone to learn all the lessons? Also, why limit yourself? This is big and it's important. Just because you don't have a past life connection with someone doesn't make them less important to you. This is why soulmate and twin flame energy and the focus solely on that it's a waste of time. You're getting exactly the type of relationships and opportunities that your soul called in, that the universe has set up for you, that you're ready to receive. So whether they come with karmic baggage or they don't, that doesn't make the connection less important. You had to meet everyone for the first time sometime to make them a soulmate. So maybe you're meeting your future soulmate for the first time in this lifetime. And in that case, it's just about being ready and willing to receive it. Okay? Sorry, went on a rant there because there's even channels that focus only on finding your soulmate. You've got soulmates everywhere, okay? So focus on finding yourself first and foremost, and then making sure that you're calling in partners, not teachers. Once you've called in a true partner and it's no longer sort of like teacher and student relationship, you're really in a powerful place, okay? Back to the Cups card here. This is basically setting you up to get something great, so just be open to that. Here's what we were looking at with dreams, the Chariot, control. Who's in charge? Are you ready to pull back a little bit? Are you ready to show that you have the capacity to say no, to surprise somebody, etc.? It's your turn to gain your authority, to gain your voice. Aries, I don't think you have a hard time doing that, but maybe some of you have been pushed back a little bit or have been a little bit shyer than normal. This is the month to really exercise that throat chakra, to really find the power in your belly and pull this all together and make something happen amazing. If there's anyone in your life and it's a tug of war, a constant tug of war. So here we see instead of horses, the two fish, but it's same sort of metaphor. If the two different things that are leading the chariot go in the opposite direction, the chariot gets torn apart or it doesn't go anywhere, it just kind of stands still. So your role this month is not necessarily to prove who's wrong or right. You might be the leader that gets people to kind of like get on the same page. You might go your own way, but you can't kind of exist in the tug of war constantly. So find your power or find your own way, and that's going to be the probably key component to happiness and success and being able to get back into that sustainable energy of the Nine of Pentacles. Okay? All right. The next thing here is the Queen of Cups. I'm happy to end on a really positive card here, and it's showing me that all of the sort of challenges and the experiences that you're going through across this month really are bringing you to a fantastic end point. The Queen of Cups is saying, yes, I am strong, I am ready, I am capable, I want to receive all that the universe is bringing my way. Let's make this happen, okay? So, yes, new love could be on the horizon. Yes, good news could be on the horizon. Your creative ability is being brought to center stage if you're ready and willing to show it to the world. And I guess one of the things that we want to look at with this card also is your flexibility, because we have the mermaid here. So her ability to kind of move between elements, land and sea, is important. So grounding your passion, expressing your passion, but also kind of finding a way to make that practical, tangible, approachable is going to be key as well. And yes, there could just be love coming in for you. Great energy to end it on. And then when we look at your crowning card with this, if you can get really behind what you want to do, where you want to be, other people are going to be excited about this new beginning for you as well. Okay? Let's move on to the expanded forecast where we take a deeper dive into health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each one of these areas is multi-part, multifaceted, and it's going to help us understand what we just looked at a little bit better. We're going to start with your health card. And what we see here is mother and child. And the card was reversed. So in many ways, this could be Empress. It's a combination of Empress and Sun energy in reverse. So Empress reverse can be a little tricky because Empress reverse is someone coming in and saying, you don't have the right to do this, or you don't know how to do this correctly, or have you done this because I don't trust you? And then it puts us back into that feeling of being the little kid here at the bottom, which is like, yes, I can do this if you let me. So one of the challenges for you this month could be standing up to others, standing up to authority, to basically reclaim your power. And then also realizing that sometimes you can't please people that want everything. This is one thing that I saw in my dreams. It was like a maternal energy, and this person had a laundry list. It wasn't my mother. It wasn't someone that I necessarily recognize. So I think it's all about you. So as I'm focusing on this, she had this big list of things that she wanted done. And I felt at the end of the day, it was kind of frustrating. Like no matter how much you tried to do all of it, it wasn't realistic. So make sure that you have, you understand, are you happy, and does this make sense? Because if we spend our whole lives trying to solely make someone else happy, it just is a sort of like, you're going to have fleeting happiness. It's not going to work. Looking at the cards here, let's see some additional messages that might be coming through here. Actually, sorry, we'll just go straight to the desk for this one. The important thing here is, with all the work that's going on, I think it's going to be super important for you to figure out who's the boss. If you're not the boss and they're not the boss, what's going on? Because that's going to cause chaos. And why does that come through with your health? Well, because many of you might have a choice on what's going to be healthiest for you, what makes you happiest. So make sure that you're not getting lost in the equation when it comes to your work, your body, your life. Make sure this sits well with you, because I see someone else trying to sort of like exert power or will on you, and that doesn't seem to make sense here. If you have had a wake-up call in your health, a close brush with, it could be with death. It could also be just sort of like a near miss, like you almost got into an accident, you tripped and fell, you almost broke a bone. This is a reminder to slow things down. Recovery is definitely possible this month if you did end up sort of doing something that you wish you hadn't, or if your health situation got into a precarious position. But either way, this was basically the universe coming through and saying, slow down, enjoy where you're at, get perspective, as we see with the Mountain card, and figure out what you want to do. It's time to make a change. What you were doing in the past doesn't work so well. There's a chance to change and do something better if you apply yourself, if you believe in it, if you put your mind to it, right? And your happiness is ultimately what's going to take center stage this month here with Ace of Cups reverse and then Queen of Cups. By changing things up, you become much happier. For those of you that decided to take a risk, let's say you are an artist, maybe you're a writer, maybe you're a musician, it doesn't even matter if you're not. Let's say you have a more practical career like accounting or something. If you decided to do things wildly different this month and just take a chance on a different approach or method or voice or whatever, it'll pay off. It's good as long as you're following your heart. That change, that about face is going to get attention. So through the act of change, we see growth, we see happiness, we see a lot of abundance. So that's the most important thing here. This can show stagnation. If you're not moving enough, the sort of general message with this card is to move more. This is also about getting out, changing the environment. Important. Listen to what your body is telling you. Don't sort of try to play doctor. If you need to go to a doctor, go to a doctor. Standard disclaimer applies when I'm looking at all health messages. You absolutely should be talking to a doctor if you're feeling any problems. I'm just looking at energetic opportunities and how you can be your healthiest and happiest with respect to that. But all of that being said, I do think you're going to end this month on a really positive, energetic note, and focus on that. Focus on choosing the path of least resistance, of most happiness, and really trying to prioritize that creative, joyful energy. There may be healing that's going to take place between parent and child, because we have the Emperor card, and now we have that Empress energy and the sort of Sun energy here. So put them all together, we have Emperor, Empress, and Sun. So familial growth, change, etc., even if, or especially if, that other party is in spirit. It's never too late to heal. It's never too late to reach out. And so maybe some of you are going to be doing some of that this month. Okay, let's move on to the next part of this. That's going to be wealth. Here's where we see the challenge coming through. The card says adversity. It says, I accept the challenges are the best way to learn. If we look at this card really close up, it almost looks like the Tower, doesn't it? Like a Tower card, and the Tower in reverse is I'm going to change. I'm going to meet that adversity face to face, eye to eye, and I'm not going to be afraid to take it on. I'm not going to be afraid to make the necessary changes to really make this work, right? And as we look at the cards here, let's see what's coming through for you. All right, so let's focus on those of you that might already be in a work situation versus those of you that might be looking for work versus those of you that might be retired. I'll split it up this month. If you're working, changing how hard you're working and how effectively you're working is key. Clearly, many of you do the lion's share. You do a lot, but something needs to change in the system. You need to be happier. You need more autonomy and control, and you need to be able to use more of the skills in your tool set. So it feels like there needs to be a change. Honestly, if you've ever been thinking of trying a different career, a different job, going back to school, change. Specifically, moving out of your comfort zone, embracing what wants to come through, and then just letting it come out of your mouth and taking some action on it. Don't be afraid that you're too old. Don't be afraid that you're too young, that you're too anything. Because, like I said, I made my career shift around 15 years into my career, and with 2 degrees. And I thought, well, let's just go for it. This is where I feel I need to go. So you got to trust yourself. You have a Midas touch this month where people are going to be surprised at some of the skills that maybe you're not using. So maybe you have a hobby or a part of your education that no one's ever seen. Use it. Show them that there's more to the equation, and that will help you possibly transition. So I see a move, a transfer, an end of a job, a beginning of a new job, or feeling like you're stuck and needing to make the necessary changes to make sure that that's not the case, okay? If you are looking for work, it's a good month to be looking for work. There is competition, unfortunately, but what I want to encourage you to do is to look, like I said earlier, beyond your current expectations. Pivot a little bit and think, how else could I repackage my skill set? Could I look at a different country and a different, just a different place or different field? There's a different way to kind of package it. What I'm doing now, surprise, surprise, is not what I went to school for, but it is how all of my skills and how my life path sort of align me to this moment in time. So journalism and film, plus I liked writing, and basically after a decade and a half of doing stuff, I just decided I need to do it differently. So I'm still using my skills, but just in a different way. So you don't have to keep doing the same thing. What we chose when we were 16, 18, 25, 45, it's not going to stick with us our whole lifetime. We keep changing. You see people, getting in and out of relationships. You see people moving from one house to another. Change is the most important thing, and it keeps us alive. Don't be afraid to change. So change your approach in how you're marketing yourself. Have different resumes and cover letters. Maybe even have a different website for different clients or whatever. So change it up, and you're going to see it from a different point of view. And I do see something great coming through. We do have at least one offer if you're looking for work. It may not tick every box, but it does check the most important ones, I would say. Now, when we're looking at those of you that are retired, some of you are, this can be just an issue of like, what am I doing with my life? This hits all of us. So the mortality or life purpose with judgment and death, it's just sort of saying like, if I were to leave the planet tonight, would I be happy with what I'm doing? If the answer is no, doesn't matter if you're working, looking for work, or retired, what are you going to do to infuse some happiness in? It feels like priorities for those of you that are retired or not looking for work, just having a sort of break. It's definitely to take care of your heart, to focus more on relationships, and maybe to take more of a deep dive into spirituality or doing something creative, sharpening up your tools, whatever your tools might be, okay? So really great stuff is abounding no matter kind of like where you're at right now. So we just looked at health and wealth. We're going to move along to love. Much like this, love is going to be multi-part. We have the dove spirit, which is peace. So you can't, the card was reversed. So the peace offering may be something that's difficult for you. Someone may say they're sorry. You may not want to receive that. You may be having a hard time saying you're sorry, or both parties may just be at a stalemate. In other words, nothing's happening. Whatever brings you peace of mind is going to be the most important. Sometimes that's walking away. We're going to look at relationships specifically, like I said, for those in love, looking for love, or single and happy. But no matter what 3 categories you might be looking at, the main thing here is maybe looking at the path of least friction between you and the other parties involved. So if you're happier, just moving on, good. If you really want to, if you be more at peace, saying, I'm sorry, say that. Whatever you need to do to be able to move forward is the most important thing. And the dove tries to remind us to do so with the sort of like the best possible words and our heart. If it's not nice, don't say it. If you can't have a good conversation with someone, don't have it right now. I think that's what I'm picking up on with that. Let's take a look at the 3 different types of relationship status out there. So for those of you currently in a relationship, and by the way, this can also be applied to friendships, familial connections, mother-child, etc. It can also be coworker relationships. Anything where you think about that person a lot, because that does constitute relationship, and there is the energy of love and giving and receiving, you can use it for this. All right, so focusing on that, what do we have here at the center? Are you ready to put the work into it? That's the main thing. Some of you may just be feeling like this relationship is a little long in the tooth. Maybe it's sort of like seen its better days. If it does, I get it. We've all been through that from time to time. But the question here is, how deep is the love? How much of a spark is there? This is the card of chemistry and having a spark. This shows me that there's an opportunity, the Chariot card, for things to be healed. But the necessary block here is the Death card, so change. If you're willing and ready to change, then things will be okay. If you're not, then you're stuck. So are you sensing a trend? I am. Change is the key through all of this. Karmic relationships, like we said, are a big piece of this. You may have 1 or more karmic relationships. This in and of itself can show like past lives, but this one for sure and this one for sure. So I see 2 karmic partners here. Believe it or not, judgment and death can be lovers or best friends. And so what we're looking at here is overcoming that. One person is already there. Judgment is more elevated than death. Death is at the doorway. Judgment is rising from the ashes. So when we're looking at who's more moved on with the karma, one of you is. So it's more about kind of finding the common ground and realizing that the other person has to play a little bit of catch up. So patience would be important in current relationships. Do you feel the mutual spark? Maybe you feel it and they don't, or vice versa. Maybe the spark is just kind of like died down and you want to rekindle it. You can't make someone love you if they don't, to quote the great Bonnie Raitt. I know she didn't necessarily write it, but she sang it with great skill. And it's a really good message there. So if you can't force someone's feeling and can't force someone's hand, so everything in its own time. And if someone's getting ready to move in a different direction, that's okay. So you're either going to make it or break it with key relationships this month. If you change and go with the flow, you make it. If you decide to move on, you're happy. It's okay either way. Either way you slice it, it's going to be all right. Okay? For those of you looking for love this month, you've got a lot of work to do on yourself. I'm going to be honest. Yes, there's someone at the end of this sort of all of this work here, and there might be someone even before that. But the most important thing here is making environmental changes that you need to, making changes in yourself, making changes in your also your core relationships and your life. Get all of that in order, and then you start to pull in something special. Age and experience plays a pivotal role across all relationships, whether it's new, existing, or again, you're just kind of randomly bumping into someone. So there's deep wisdom in all of your encounters this month, so don't underestimate them. But once you take care of your life, yes, I see something cool coming through. We have a nice water sign potentially that's coming through. I see a lot of attraction and mutual affection there. It's just the timing, and it's also just your sort of dedication at this point that may be off a little bit, so make sure that you're truly ready. It should feel easy, by the way. This peace card means that you don't have to prove anything. It's just sort of a very peaceful connection, and I think that's great. If you're single, happy, retired, or just not focusing on relationships this month, great time to move. Great time to dig in deeper spiritually, and wow, you're going to achieve a lot with spiritual growth this month. Really good time to get rid of old stuff in your life, to do some house cleaning, and spiritually speaking, and also just like in your physical house, get rid of old things that hold energy and karma. When you apply yourself to any given task, you're going to see amazing results. You may even feel like it's magical. There is an ephemeral quality with this particular magician. Ephemeral, just a fancy word for short-lived. And I mention that because we're looking at Cinderella. I have to think whenever I'm going into all the Disney things because they all blur together. But Cinderella, she was put under that sort of like magic spell for a short amount of time, and at midnight, everything went back. What you want to be thinking of in your life is that this moment is the most magical because you're living it, because you're changing things, because alchemically, what you do now affects the next moment. So yes, in essence, the magician is always ephemeral. It's always short-lived. But guess what? You get another moment. It's coming. It just went. Now you get another moment. So just make some smart choices. Don't look at the past. Only learn from it, but don't focus and live in it. Instead, think, how am I going to apply that? Okay, I just tried that. How did that work? How about I try this? And then remember to take time to enjoy every moment as well, because that's where the magic is. And I think that's the most important thing. So whether you're single or in a relationship or could care less, right now, this moment in time that you're spending with me, this is magical. Thank you for spending it with me. Now do something else with the next moment that's really magical. Okay? Okay. All right, let's move on to your destiny card here. And we have the heart card. It's reversed. So the interesting thing with this one is I love the sort of peaceful roses that we're seeing at the bottom there. For many of you, you've been holding on to your heart, perhaps, protecting it, like the Four of Pentacles. I want people to see me. I want them to understand me, but I'm afraid of what they might do, say, or think if they see the real me. Will it be okay? Will they still like me? You're gently sort of putting your heart out there for receipt. I want you to be bolder about this and instead be really passionate and say, I believe in whatever it is, whether it's your resume that you're sending to someone, whether it's a work of art that you're putting out there, whether it's your taxes that you're filing, I don't care. Whatever you've done, do it with passion and think, okay, done with that, on to the next thing. If you're clocking in at 50%, not really doing 100%, not giving it your all, what are you doing? Why are you only kind of half engaged? So this is saying put your heart into it and really put it out there in a way that's passionate, saying, yeah, no, I believe in this. I'm not looking tentatively for your approval on it. I'm sharing this moment and this idea or this part of me because it's real. It's me. And it's kind of like you're putting some spice on top of something. So put your energy out there in a way that's really powerful, and you'll be surprised at how it changes and shifts things a little bit. All right, so let's move on to the next portion. We just went through the expanded forecast, and now we're going to just kind of revisit where we're at. We're going to look at the big idea next. The big idea is going to be one overarching idea that can kind of help us be powerful. So let me give the cards a shuffle, and let's see what the big idea is for you. Five of Swords. Very interesting sort of illustration on this one as well. So I believe it's Toth in the background, but or Set. I always forget which one it is. But we basically see a reincarnation metaphor in the background here. Five of Swords is about moving on. So I like that we see like a death and rebirth avatar in the background, because what you want to be focusing on is this worth doing again? And your big idea this month is you have a chance to walk away from something that's not a good investment of time and energy. You can't, quote unquote, win the Five of Swords. What is Five of Swords? It can be a person in your life that doesn't listen. It can be a situation where there's such high stakes that both parties have something to lose. It can be basically a choice where sometimes making your own path is going to be stronger than the two opportunities presented to yourself, or presented to you rather. So what do you do in a situation of the Five of Swords? You try to elevate, you try to negotiate, and sometimes you walk away. If someone sits there and is pushing your buttons, it can be a person that likes to argue with you or is enjoying the sort of response that they're getting out of your struggle. Then you take a deep breath and you think, This person isn't receptive. I'm not happy. This investment of time and energy is shallow, it's empty. So I'm going to instead redirect and go in this direction. And we see the rising phoenix in the background, right? So you're going to be okay. You're going to rise above. You're going to come out of this just fine. The important thing for you is to not take the bait. And it's easier said than done, but you'll feel a lot better engaging with something that's a lot better than this. So yeah, like someone said here, just walk away. I agree. It's going to be a lot healthier for you. Okay. And one last thing here is that sometimes there's a person in your life that has to get in the last word. They just want to be the last one to say something. So trying to connect with someone that always has to get the last word is just infuriating. Let them get the last word and just move on, because you'll never win at that either. It's choosing a better path and then just reprogramming your head. Okay, so you've got a bigger path, and to look at the table to reset what the Five of Swords wants you to focus on. It's the change, it's the ability to reinvent yourself, it's the wonderful work and riches that you've put into your life, it's the Midas touch, it's the love that wants to come through for you. Those are all worth it. So this is the stepping away, and this is the payoff. And also, I do believe that when you love and put yourself out there with that passion, again, someone's going to offer it right back in a positive way, but you have to love yourself unconditionally. This person has conditions on the way that they love. They're going to tell you can only do certain things at a certain way, and you can only talk to them in a certain method. It's like stipulation after stipulation after stipulation. And at a certain point, it's just too much. So you don't have to do that anymore, okay? You are stronger than that. All right, just a quick reminder, if you just joined me, if you like what you're seeing here, please hit the subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and it helps people discover this. All it's going to do is make sure that you see my videos on your homepage. So please hit the subscribe if you've never done it, and hit the like as well. If you want to get notifications, you can hit the bell icon as well. In addition to that, you can follow me on social media. If you like what you see and want to get some additional reminders, or like my Instagram, you want to see a slice of life that's different from what's here, you can follow me there. Thanks to everybody who is a current member who is going to join today, or who is giving back with Super Stickers and Super Chat. Here's how you can do it. All right, and again, questions about my schedule, you can go to my website, which is pinned in the comment. Let's move on to the next portion of the reading. We're going to go to blessings and blocks, and then do viewer and reader's choice after that. All right, so blessings and blocks, just like they sound, good things coming through to your life right now. The blessings portion, and a potential block. I feel like we already got it with the Five of Swords, but there may be some additional messages that come through with that. All right, so let's pull the cards right now and see what Spirit wants to show us. So the blessing card is the Queen of Swords. Fantastic. We talked about her briefly with the cactus, so that makes sense. And with the block, we have Ace of Swords. Very interesting. We're going to talk about these two. Okay. Starting first with your blessing card. Queen of Swords, she's upright, as she should be. She's a great sort of energy. This is the ability to speak your truth, to say what you need to say, to articulate, to use your basically communication skills to your benefit. She's also very direct. So that no message that I had in the channeled portion, couldn't think of a better card to illustrate that no than the Queen of Swords. And I love that we see her kind of standing up as a fierce warrior here. This is what I stand behind. This is what I want. And she's a force to be reckoned with. So find your voice and use it. And when you use it, you'll be surprised that people actually listen to you. The important piece here is to believe yourself when you're talking, to pull some of the fire from the belly and really bring it upward. So there's different ways of no, saying no. If you just say, no, I don't think so, that's not very strong. If you say no, then you're questioning things. But if you say, no, this isn't going to work, that's powerful. You have to listen to tone. And like in the first one, I didn't believe it. And you may not even be saying no. You'd be like, well, I really don't think we should do this. You know, I know I did listen to what you said. There's all this sort of, you could say, I listened to what you said, but I'm standing behind what I believe here. This isn't the right path. Let's see how we can solve this. So use your skill and use your tone and use your body language to emphasize rather than to sort of like tear down or go against what you're saying. Be strong, mind, body, spirit. Be strong in your body language for sure. Okay? Fantastic. All right. The block. Getting caught up in drama. Look at this. Look at the web behind the Ace of Swords. We see literally vines on that, and also sort of like this rope that looks to me like a spider web. Here's your spider in the Five of Swords. Not literally, but that's what the Five of Swords is. It's a tricky card. What you're going to do is cut through that web and move beyond it. You're not going to basically meet that person at the same low energy when they're conversing with you. You're going to elevate it, and she's going to take the sword and take it to the highest level. So if someone says a nasty comment to you, you're either going to correct it or move on and ignore it. Oftentimes, as is with the case with social media, it's better just to not engage with troll-like energy. But the same is true if someone's heckling you and just being immature. Usually they look the fool. If they say something that is libelous, slanderous, or just an outright lie, then you actually have to go forth with that, and this can be a legal matter. But otherwise, you could just say, don't waste your breath. This doesn't really have an effect on me. Use that sort of cactus energy. We can meditate with that if you wanted to, but just imagine that you have a thick skin, and that if they come near you, they're not going to be able to affect you because you have all these sort of like spines coming out, right? So be strong. You can do this, all right? But both of these together tells me you're going to go through the month swimmingly. This is saying what you mean and meaning what you say, and this is cutting through the garbage and not letting someone else's lower frequency or lower vibrational thoughts or conversations get in the way. You're going to cut straight to the point, straight through that nonsense. Lots of other words that I can that I can say for that, but that's what it is. It's a lot of nonsense. So you're going to be fine. All right. Some of you may also have a really great placement of air in your charts, possibly in your rising or your moon, and that's going to help you with this as well, just because you're going to be able to bring it in a way that you haven't before. Okay. So let's get to the fun part here. I think it's a fun part anyway. We're going to go to the viewers and readers' choice. So let me grab my keyboard and let's take a look at where you could really experience some positive growth this month. So let's pull the camera down so you can see it as well. And let's create a poll here for you. So viewer's choice. All right. So hello. I want to look at change. There's no way we can't look at death and rebirth and change. So I'm going to look at the energy of change. That's my reader's choice. For you, I think that some of the stuff that we need to look at here is perhaps becoming unstuck or making peace with that. So let's see. I'm going to say getting unstuck. It's a weird sort of way to articulate it, but getting unstuck. Also, really embracing your power because of the Magician, which got kind of lost in this, embracing your power. And then also, I want to look at growing resources here because the Nine of Pentacles gets lost a little bit in this shuffle of cards. So growing resources, achieving, I'll just put growing resources. So there you go, getting unstuck, embracing your power, and growing your resources. Okay, and then for the getting unstuck, it's going to be a breakthrough, how to kind of create or make a breakthrough. So there you go. You can vote on those. While you're voting on those, I'm going to take a moment here and focus on the reader's choice. And the reader's choice, again, is going to be focusing on the energy of change, and more change that we've been looking at here. So let's shuffle the cards here and see what kind of insights we can get for Six of Swords, Judgment, and Death. What changes is the universe asking you to step into? Seven of Pentacles. Let's take a look at this. All right, so with the Seven of Pentacles, there's a couple of messages that would come through on this. The first one is change and recovery take time. Sometimes we want to rush through that. We want to just get to the finish line, right? In this day and time of just being able to ask a smart device or ask your phone or your smart watch or whatever, like what's going on, and get that instantaneous feedback. We just want to see it happen now. So your ability to be patient with yourself and the time that it takes to go from this point to this point will be absolutely paramount in making sure that you don't repeat mistakes of the past. Because the Seven of Pentacles card always carries with it some karmic warnings. You typically go through some of the challenges inherent to the Seven of Pentacles. Oftentimes, debt or overstretching your resources. It's not always just about money. It could just be about like exhaustion. But it's usually spending more than you have, more time, energy, or money than you have. And so this card is asking you, have you learned the lessons, and have you learned, just like if you were to look at an herb in your garden, let's say you have something like thyme or whatever, you can pinch off some of it. It actually helps it grow. But if you constantly, every day, are out there, pretty soon you're not going to have anything left. Or lettuce works the same way. You have to kind of leave the roots in place. You don't want to pull the whole thing out. You take away just enough so that it can grow back. So with your resources, you have to know how much you can take before you extinguish or you get to the point where there's no return. So make sure that lesson has been learned. Then make sure that when it comes to recovery, that you also don't overdo it. I've been talking about hiking a lot. I had to take a long break. I had a foot fracture last year. It took 10 weeks for that fracture to heal. And basically from October to most of January, I couldn't do a lot of walking and hiking. So finally, and through gently kind of getting myself back out there, I was able to do it. Now there's no pain at all. It's completely healed. I had a sprain before. Everything's fine. And I'm so grateful now. I don't overdo it. I walk on the paved side of the hikes. I'm not doing all the crazy stuff in the hills anymore because I worked too hard for this recovery. So I know my limits, and I don't want to stumble and fall again with respect to that. And I'm trying to strengthen my body. So slow and steady, and be happy with the progress, and be happy with your body. You never know when it comes to your resources, your body, your health, how far your body can come back. And that's one thing that I was amazed. I'm like, full recovery. Who knew? Because I wasn't sure for a while. It took a long time to get better. So be patient with yourself. And think beyond the limits that are showing up right now. I kept thinking, no, I'm not ready. I want to have a full recovery. So I kept pushing gently. One more. I just did it in my neighborhood. I would kind of like, can I make it up and around the block? Can I now do a mile? Can I do like a mile and a quarter? Can I do a mile and a half? Eventually I got to a couple miles and we were good. But I did it very small. Initially the doctor said, yeah, you need to walk a lot less and then start to walk a little bit more. Don't do too much. So know your limits, know where to push them, ask for help if you need to. And then it could be financial help, help with a doctor, it could be psychological help, whatever you need, get the help and support that you need to have that firm foundation in place. All right, I've given you plenty of time to vote. Let's see what's coming through now. But the change is good, but the change takes time. That's basically what we saw. All right, wildly in the lead here, we have getting unstuck or accomplishing a breakthrough in your life. The good news with this is it still has elements of the energy of change, which is really what we just talked about. So where are you stuck? How can you get unstuck? Let's take a look. Love. Okay, let's take a look at the love card here. So we have lovers in reverse. We have the Beauty and the Beast reimagined with this. So with the lovers card in reverse, one of the things that sometimes is taken away from us is this ability to feel proud about who we are. There could have been a bully in school, a teacher in school, a coworker, a boss, or a parent, usually an authority figure or a peer that you care a lot about, that came through and made you feel a lack of confidence for yourself for some reason. Or they only showed conditional love. If you do this, then I approve of you. Then I love you. Then you're good enough. If you don't talk to me, or it's not enough. So that's conditional love. And it doesn't really foster healing. So for you, I want you to love yourself unconditionally and think to yourself, they may see this, but as we know in the fairy tale, that's not actually the beast's true form. So if you can see what you truly are and believe who you truly are, then she was able to see it in at least the Disney fairy tale. I'm sure like if this was a Grimm fairy tale, it's not, but like usually the Disney versions of it, yes, people are able to see past the facade. So see past the block, see past the facade, love yourself where you're at right now. Not compared to where you were, not compared to where others want you to be. Love yourself where you're at. It's kind of a continuation of what we were just talking about. Love yourself enough to kind of lift yourself up to the next level. Acceptance and love is how you get unstuck. Are you blaming yourself for this feeling of being stuck? Are you stuck in your relationship? Because this card makes sense with that. If you're stuck in the relationship, what are you doing? Are you doing the work? Is your partner not doing the work? And are you afraid of what might come if you were to release this? You have to kind of love yourself enough to be okay with you and only with you. And if you are unconditionally loving your partner, they need to be loving you back in the same way. The good news is that the Lover's card is like a big old magnet, like a horseshoe magnet. So it's basically like the heart here, this card. So if you're willing and ready to put that out there and say, I love myself, I love what I'm doing, and your negativity won't make it through this magnet, because I just talked about magnetism a few signs ago. If you put two magnets, and I think it's like, I forget if it's the same or opposite poles, but you can't put the repulsive forces together. So if you're positive and they're negative, it's not going to meet up the right way. They'll have to flip in order to be in the same alignment as you. So that's your magic, is you're like a magnet, and it's like when you have two that don't want to meet up, your force is stronger or as strong as them. So they're going to have to either go to the side or jump around. They'll have to flip. So you have the potential through the energy of love to magnetically flip them. Flip a switch. But it starts with, I care about you, but this has to change. You can start with the love and then what you need to go into, but be careful of the conditions. I think one thing this month is just saying, I love you and I know you love me. We need to work on things. Are you willing to do the work? That's kind of how I would phrase that. And then if you love your life and your path enough to try something new and other people don't love or accept it, again, that's a litmus test. So you get to also push yourself in a different direction. You don't have to have the repelling forces be there. Okay? So hopefully that helps. Someone's doing I would say for the hopefully that's you thinking. The important thing here is to think, do I love myself? Am I getting unconditional love? And if there are conditions being put on it, what am I doing to kind of really sort out, does this make sense, or is this just someone trying to control me? You're going to regain your control, all right? So let's take a look here at your monthly reading here, where we're at. We're going to be focusing next on the final card after we do a meditation. So to prep for that, just a couple of quick notes. First and foremost, the final card is something that is not typed out. You just sort of write it down, meditate on it, and I'll try to give you my best guidance on that, all right? And I'm going to give you a chance to vote on an instrument that I'll play after we meditate. The meditation takes about 2 minutes, and then we'll get into whatever opportunities are coming through with that final card. All right, so which instrument would you like? I have a crystal pyramid, and I also have a singing bowl. This poll is only available to those on desktops or laptops, or mobile devices, not on consoles, and you can't do it on replay. So let's get ready for this. Couple of quick notes before I go into that. Again, just a quick reminder, if you happen to join late, hit the subscribe button if you like what you see here. Over 60 to 70% sometimes of the people that view it have never done it, and they're afraid that it costs something. It doesn't. It's a button. It's like. It's basically the same as liking someone on Facebook. So hit the subscribe button. It helps me quite a bit, and I appreciate that. Follow me on social if you'd like more reminders or to see some different stuff, because I'm trying to shake it up a little bit on my Instagram feed. And then again, if you'd like to show some support here by giving back, you can do that. It helps me buy new decks and do more videos. So thank you in advance. All right, let's get on to the meditation. Meditation today. Let's take a look here. It's all about change, really, isn't it? And, you know, we've been working a lot with energy of like metamorphosis. I kind of feel like I want to use that today in the meditation, like a butterfly. So we're going to use the energy of chrysalis and going into the butterfly. All right, so take a moment here and close your eyes and imagine that it's the dawn of a new day. You can see the sun rising. You can feel the warmth and radiance shining on you. As you take a deep breath, I want you to bring that sunlight, that light into your body and allow it to go to any part that needs to receive a healing. Emotional healing constitutes healing as well. So if it's your heart or if it's your mind that needs to have the healing, bring the light and the energy there. Exhale. Imagining a puff of smoke or dust that's coming out of your mouth as you're doing that, which represents anything that you've been holding on to. See this sort of reprogramming happening with each breath that you take. So as you breathe in, light. As you breathe out, remnants of the past, karmic energy, ancestral energy, fears and anxieties. See all of those things leaving you. And now imagine that you are cocooned in this sort of energy of light. It's not a traditional chrysalis or cocoon. It just feels warm and it feels safe. As you continue to do this breathing meditation, you could even imagine that there are halos or circles of light around you. And if you wanted to, you can gently push out those halos and they'll stay there. You're not going to be trapped. These are protective forces around you. So gently start to push at the halos of light. And as you do this, imagine that you can see angelic wings starting to form behind you. Or if you want to imagine that you're like a thunderbird, you could reach out your arms and see beautiful sort of feathers forming from your arms, whatever you'd like, it's fine. And as you start to push away at this sort of energetic protection, you now are embodying all of that protection in these wings, in your body, your beautiful luminous light being. As I meditate with you and play the crystal pyramid, I want you to focus on deciding where these wings are going to take you next. And maybe putting in a couple of programmed thoughts, which is, I'm strong enough for the opportunities that are coming my way. I'm ready for the opportunities that are coming my way. And I'm going to basically coast or float through this next period without as much struggle or difficulty as I did previously. All right, just enjoy. I'll be back in a moment. We'll look at your final card. See yourself brighter, stronger, more prepared now than you normally are to handle anything that comes your way. And see yourself already at the destination, at the top of the mountain, ready to see what awaits you on the descent, on the easier portion of the journey. Everything that you've done right now has set you up to coast, to set you up to feel that sense of, it's gonna get easier now. I'm ready. Get ready for the final card now. Whatever your final question is for me, focus on that now. Let's meditate on it and let's see what's coming forth. Oh, I love this. And actually, we got a bonus card, so I'll read this one as well. They're both beautiful. Okay, so your main card is Janus in the Two of Wands. Janus, of course, is the god of ends and beginnings, and is what January is named after. And we can see him looking in both directions, past and present. So for you, many of you ask, is this, if it's a yes, no? This to me would be a yes. Yes, as long as you continue to focus on that clear vision. Two of Wands is most powerful when it stays connected to and stays focused to the goal at hand. This Two of Wands is saying that in order to succeed in the present, you have to remember the past and apply the skills of the past. A lot of the similar energy that came through when I was looking at that Seven of Pentacles that came up, and we were talking about overcoming injury, etc. So this is the same sort of energy there. But you're going to be wiser this time. And kind of looks like he has an ankh and a wand with him as well. But anyway, I would say for you, we're looking at a period here of a couple of months of rapid growth, rapid change. This is a really good time for making plans. You're going to see things come to fruition quicker than you thought, as long as you continue to use this energy. Whenever this is paired with either the Magician or the High Priestess, it equals manifestation, basically. So this is really, really auspicious for you, okay? You may have a moment or two where you're thinking, I took 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's still progress. That's just like what we talked about with the Seven of Pentacles. It may be slower progress than you'd like, but it's progress. My one caveat when they don't include the little snail on the Nine of Pentacles is we forget about patience sometimes. So patience equals progress, and you're definitely on the right track. You got a bonus card that flipped out, and I'll read it here. So Eight of Wands, there's the lovely bird that we just meditated on, or the flying metaphor, because it was the butterfly, but we basically became angelic with that meditation. So this is you carrying the torch and keeping your own amidst all of the sort of activity that's going on. And we had Seven of Wands here somewhere, right? Oh, it was in my in the channel messages. So what makes this even more powerful than the Seven of Wands is you are able to basically sustain and maintain the momentum. So that's going to be your opportunity. Your answer was yes, just stay focused. And 2 steps forward, 1 step back is still 1 step forward. And then this one is saying, if you can do all of this well, then you're going to be able to basically see sustainable growth. And you're able to kind of you're going to have to lead the pack a little bit here with this Eight of Wands. Eight of Wands, there's always people that are hidden that don't always show up. There's a few decks that happen to show them, but it's a community card. So you still have the capacity to basically rally the forces around you so that you're not doing this all alone, but you might have to be in the lead a little bit, okay? Wishing all of you a great month ahead. I hope you enjoyed what we saw today. I know I did. Again, if you feel like following me on social media, I'd love for you to do that. It's at Nicholas Ashbaugh just about everywhere, and Ashbaugh on Twitter. A reminder that I never send messages and I don't do private readings any longer. So avoid any of the fake profiles out there. You can click on my pinned link or any of the ones that Maria has put out there so you know it's the real deal. And again, please subscribe if you haven't, and you can hit the bell icon as well, just so that you know if there's any last minute changes to my schedule. Tomorrow's is kind of tentative, so I may change the time, but that very rarely happens. There's just been a couple things out of my control this week, but so far everything is okay. So we'll see what tomorrow brings, but that's why you want to subscribe and opt into notifications to make sure. Again, with Super Chats and Super Stickers, thank you so much. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing if I didn't have the support of everybody here. And as I look on my monitor on the side, I see a lot of green, familiar faces there with all the members. So thank you so much. And now let's get into the gratitude portion. So whether it's your first time here or you're a longtime viewer, I just want to say thank you. For all the new folks, I hope to see you again. My schedule's fairly predictable. It's every Monday. It's every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday. And then I throw some impromptus out there from time to time as well. The whole schedule, as I talked about earlier, is on my website. So if you need more information, you can go there. I was just mentioning everybody that's kind enough to be a sustaining member. The sustaining membership is always available by clicking on this, and you can become a channel member. So thank you to everybody that's done that or supported me on Patreon. Now, for the folks today that gave back a little bit, I'd like to give a few shout outs. So let me do that right now. And let's see who participated. All right, so give me 1 second here. I'll start first with brand new members, and then we'll move on to anybody that gave a super sticker or super chat. new members today, or within the last day, I should say. We have Michelle Wilson. Thank you for your star membership. I appreciate that. And for rejoining after 3 months. Great to have you here. AVK, rejoining after 2 months. Good to have you back as well. Once in a Blue Moon, great channel name there. Rejoining after 2 months. Thank you so much. Julia Kimmel, thank you for rejoining after 3 months. CP, brand new member. Thank you. Good to have you here. We have Ninfa, I think it is, Lambert. Thank you for rejoining after 3 months. Tony Glaslow, rejoining after 23 months. That's very cool. You'll be getting a new little avatar icon soon. Let's see. Bellafia, joining and being a brand new channel member. Good to have you here as well. Channery, I can't say your last name, but thank you for rejoining after 8 months. And I think that's everybody. So I've been off a couple of days, so these are the folks that have done it since the last reading. All right, let's say thank you now to anybody that gave in the form of a super sticker or super chat, and then we'll wrap up for today. All right, so short list, we should be able to get through this pretty quickly. Toya James, thank you for kicking things off at the very beginning, and good to have you here, and I hope that the impatience is gone now. You had a great reading today. Let's see, Kakli, thank you so much for your contribution. Diane, much appreciation to you. Lisa St. Clair, and 62 and Sunny. Hope everybody got what they needed out of today's reading. A reminder that, thank you also, Constance, for that late submission there. I appreciate that. A reminder that all of the March readings are live. We're looking now at the month ahead for April. So again, I'll be starting that up here over the next few days. Let me just give you the link to my April dates here so that you have them. I know it might be confusing. I read a month ahead, but this is the upcoming dates here. So, but yeah, if you've missed anything, all of them are on replay. You can get the links on my community tab or look at any of the playlists that I create because it helps you navigate all of that. All right, everybody, take care of yourselves. Much love and light. Thank you again to Maria for her help with moderation. Thanks to Apollo for being patient. He's hiding under the chair right now. I'll see everybody again back on Friday for Taurus, and then again every Sunday for our collective. Until then, make today a great day. Be kind to yourselves, do something fun, and celebrate the month ahead. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.